The reckoning of Evelyn Hart, what began as a simple traffic stop, unraveled into something far more profound, an unmasking of power, prejudice, and a system long overdue for accountability. It happened on a misty night in Hollow Creek, Oregon, a quiet suburb draped in calm, where porch lights flickered out by 9 and neighbors still loaned each other gardening tools without question. But that night, something stirred beneath the quiet. A gray Buick sedan rolled down Sycamore Lane, steady, unhurried. Behind the wheel was Evelyn Hart, a 69-year-old black woman whose poise and quiet presence spoke volumes. Her posture was straight, her hands firm on the wheel, though the recent loss of her husband, Benjamin, left an ache that hadn't quite settled. She had just come from a candlelight vigil honoring him, a life partner of 43 years, an educator, a community voice, a father to 3, and the man who once told her, "Silence is never the answer." She wore a soft wool coat over her navy blue dress, her silver hair swept into a tidy bun, and pearl earrings that shimmered under the streetlights. Her car moved slowly past trimmed hedges and mailboxes, her mind still half at the church steps where neighbors had placed flowers and memories for Benjamin. Then came the headlights. They emerged from behind like a pair of eyes that never blinked. A police cruiser. Evelyn saw it in her mirror. It lingered, matched her turns. By the third right turn, she knew this was not coincidence. She turned on her hazard lights and eased her car to a stop under a flickering street lamp. The SUV followed, its red and blue strobes lighting up the sleepy street. Evelyn moved deliberately, placing her wallet and vehicle registration on the passenger seat, then folded her hands in her lap. She'd done nothing wrong. But at her age, and with her skin that had never guaranteed safety, the door of the SUV slammed. Heavy boots approached. A beam of light cut through the dark, scanning her vehicle like a threat lurked inside. Then came the voice. "Driver, roll your window down." She complied. The officer stepped into view. A white woman in her 30s with a tight ponytail and harder eyes. Officer Renee Maddox, known locally for being strict, assertive, and not particularly kind. The flashlight found Evelyn's face. License and registration. "They're right there," Evelyn said. Her voice measured. Renee didn't pick them up. She just stared too long. "What brings you to this neighborhood tonight?" "I live here, 2 blocks over. I'm heading home from a vigil for my husband." There was a pause. Then the questions changed tones. "These are Georgia plates. I moved here 3 months ago, to be near my son." Another pause. Then, "Step out of the vehicle." "Is there a reason for that?" "Step out of the car now, ma'am." The street shifted. What had been routine became charged. Evelyn's door creaked open as she stepped into the cold air. From his porch a few houses down, retired firefighter Daniel Brooks sipped tea and watched, his eyes narrowing. He picked up his phone and pressed record. Officer Maddox stood rigid, her hand near her holster. "Hands where I can see them." Evelyn lifted her arms slightly. "I'm no threat, officer." But it wasn't about threat. It was about power. "What street were you headed to again?" "Willow Glen." "And why didn't you stop earlier?" "I didn't know I had to. I pulled over as soon as your lights came on." "You were swerving." "I was not." "It's your word against mine." That's when Evelyn knew. This wasn't a stop. It was a statement. "Do you have anything in the vehicle?" "Weapons." "Alcohol?" "No." "Dispatch, I'm requesting backup." "For what?" Evelyn asked, incredulous. "We'll see. Keep your hands where I can see them." Minutes later, another patrol car pulled up. Out stepped Officer Carl Denby, a man in his 50s who looked more tired than curious. "What's going on?" he asked. "Suspicious behavior," Maddox said. "Out-of-state plates." "Evasive." Evelyn remained silent. "Ma'am, mind if we search the car?" Denby asked. "I do mind. I haven't done anything wrong." Maddox smirked. "We can get a warrant." "Then get one." Evelyn replied firmly. Maddox leaned in close. "People like you think you're better than the rules." "You mean people who know their rights?" That's when the cuffs came out. Maddox turned her to the hood of the car. "You're being detained for obstruction." Daniel Brooks cursed under his breath. He'd seen enough. The cuffs locked in place. Evelyn said quietly. I'm not under arrest. Not yet, Maddox muttered. Inside her house across the street, Daniel uploaded the video to a secure cloud and texted it to his nephew in Portland, a civil rights attorney. The caption read, "Watch this now." Back at the station, Evelyn was processed without resistance. Her coat taken, her belongings cataloged, her dignity handled like a technicality. She was seated in a sterile room, her hands resting on the metal table in front of her, her expression unchanged. Then a call rang through directly to the office of Chief Martin Colton. "Colton here. This is Mayor Sean Hart." There was a silence on the line. "My mother is being held in your station. I want an explanation. Now." Colton stood so fast he knocked over his chair. "You're your mother?" "Yes, Evelyn Hart. You detained the mother of this town's mayor." Within minutes, the building was in uproar. Officers whispered, phones buzzed, and Maddox, unaware, was casually finishing her shift. Colton marched down the hallway, his face ashen. When he opened the door to the holding room and saw Evelyn sitting there, calm, composed, regal, he almost choked. "Mrs. Hart," he said breathlessly. "I am so sorry." Evelyn looked up. "Then do something about it." She was uncuffed within seconds. The damage, however, was done. The video hit local news that night. By morning, it was national. By noon, it was viral. Civil rights groups condemned it. Activists called it an outrage. But it wasn't just what happened. It was who it happened to. The mother of a sitting mayor. A woman known in the community. And still, it didn't protect her. In a press conference that afternoon, Mayor Sean Hart stood before the town. "My mother was profiled, detained, and humiliated not because of what she did, but because of what she looked like." In her home, Evelyn watched in silence. At BY evening, protesters gathered outside the station. Some with signs, others with candles. Many simply stood in silence for 9 minutes. The amount of time she was detained in cuffs. But Evelyn didn't seek revenge. She sought reform. In the following weeks, she helped launch a coalition of community members, activists, retired officers, and youth leaders. They called it the Hart Commission. It demanded 3 things: immediate termination and investigation of Officer Renee Maddox, creation of a civilian review board with independent oversight, the founding of a permanent justice initiative to educate citizens on their rights. All 3 were approved within 6 months. By then, the Old Town Library had been transformed into the Hart Center for Justice and Equity. Evelyn oversaw every detail, from the community meeting rooms to the wall of remembrance that displayed stories of others who'd come forward after her arrest. Even Maddox's sentence was fitting. 5 years of community service. Most of it served at the Hart Center, stocking shelves, printing flyers, and watching every day the change she once tried to suppress. 10 years later, on the anniversary of her arrest, the town of Hollow Creek unveiled a plaque on the courthouse lawn. It read. She didn't shout. She stood. And that changed everything. Inside the Hart Center that afternoon, a young woman named Maya, now a civil rights attorney, led a youth seminar on justice reform. She'd once been a teenager who stood outside the station in silent protest. Evelyn sat in the back row, her hair fully silver, her cane resting beside her chair. When Maya finished, she gestured to Evelyn. "That's who taught me what justice really means." Evelyn stood, slowly, and addressed the room. "It means not waiting for someone else to fix what's broken. It means becoming the answer you once waited for." And in that moment, the room didn't see a victim. They saw a leader. They saw Evelyn Hart, the woman who stood and never sat back down.